think it's about time for a podcast that's more fulfilling, one that's about the vibrant exchange of ideas and perspectives that happens when we actually come together. We got you covered. Welcome to the Deep Blue Project, where the depths of conversation meet the waves of personal experience. This is a real, raw, and unscripted show about everything from leadership lessons to self-awareness, wellness, and the latest current events. We cover it all. We have a rotating cast of guests as we share our personal stories, insights, and opinions on the issues that matter most. Plus, we have a blast while doing it. The Deep Blue Project. It's not just a podcast, it's an experience. And now your host, Chris Workman.
Hey everybody, welcome to the first DBP, Deep Blue Project podcast of this year. I am excited to have with me Shawn Thomas. Shawn Thomas is the founder and CEO for First Responder Conferences. How you doing today, Shawn?
I'm doing great. How are you? Happy New Year.
Same to you. Happy New Year. It's weird. We're all the way on the left coast and I'm on the right. That time period still messes me up.
Yeah, I know. It's when I get up in the morning, like if we're doing a conference on the East Coast, there's all these emails and I'm like, what is going on? Oh, that's right. People are like 3 hours ahead of me.
I always have to try to remember that when I'm like shooting emails to you or messages to you or anybody else that's over, and that way I'm like, oh man, I'm sorry. Like I'm at work at 5:30 in the morning. I'm shooting emails to people.
Oh, sorry.
So Shawn is the founder of First Responder Conferences. I was lucky enough to get linked together with Shawn Thomas and the First Responder Conferences through a friend, Vance Rowe, who he's been on our podcast before. So I decided to have Shawn on so we can kind of discuss more what First Responder Conferences do, since I will be lucky enough to be presenting in March here in Ocean City, Maryland, and we'll get to that, some of the conferences. But I'd like Shawn to tell you a little bit more about herself and how her and her husband, who is the executive director, kind of got started with First Responder Conferences.
Sure. Let's see. It all started when my dad became a police officer back in 1978. 80, whatever. So, I just grew up in law enforcement. So it was just a way of life for me, which led me into the profession. I was hired I was a reserve in 95, and then I was hired in 1997 full-time with the King County Sheriff's Office. Fast forward to 2000 and I guess it was 2000 and let's see. Gosh, I don't know. Wow.
Time flies, right? Yeah.
I feel like it was a long time ago, but yeah. So 2006, I believe, I became a member of our peer support team. So that's when I started responding to critical incidents that our deputies were involved with and helping them and their families through that process. Fast forward to 2015, my husband had been on the department for about 27 years, on the SWAT team for about 18 at that point, was undergoing some organizational stress as well as cumulative stress and was coping with alcohol. And it got to the point where he said, I need help. And I said, great, now what? We didn't feel comfortable reaching out to the department because I wasn't exactly sure what that was going to look like. So I searched and found a confidential resource and we got him the help that he needed. But during that whole process, I realized if we're both first responders and we don't know where to get help, there's got to be other people out there. So my peer support captain knew at the time what we had been through, and it was suggested that we organize a mental health and wellness conference for first responders and their families. And I thought, sure, how hard can that be? And I realized, we moved forward and I realized it was a lot of work, but we had around 150 first responders attend that first conference. And at least 5 people after the conference reached out for some type of assistance that I knew about. So it was clear to me that there's a lot of first responders that were suffering in silence. And I knew my department really didn't have any proactive wellness programs. We had peer support, but it was more reactive than proactive. And I started talking to other first responders around the country and found this to be true with their departments as well. And I had a couple friends in different states. They knew that I had put the conference on, and they asked me if I could come help and put one on in their area. So I just try to move forward with the local boots on the ground folks to make that happen, because every time we had a conference, people were telling us how beneficial it was. And then I started getting phone calls with people telling me that it saved their life. And so therefore I became really passionate about it. Kept on continuing to move forward. And we just finished our 52nd conference and getting ready to do our 53rd conference in 3 weeks from now. So yeah, we just keep on moving forward, and we get contacted by agencies and organizations wanting to make wellness a priority to come to their area. We just work with them to make that happen. And we have, I think, 10 conferences scheduled this year. So probably, I think that's the most conferences we've done. We usually do around 8 to 10 conferences, but yeah, this year is a full year. We're looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that when we talked initially, when I reached out, a lot of this conversation Shawn and I had together, and I thought it was a great conversation. One, because I think you bring it up right off the bat, is back then when your husband needed help, that's that stigma. That's where that thing comes that we keep talking about, and here on the Deep Blue Project, and what we're trying to kind of stop. And I think what you're also, with what you're doing, trying to stop, is that stigma that you didn't know where to turn, because you couldn't turn, you didn't want to turn to your agency because you were afraid, like, are they just going to fire me? Are they just going to, is it going to be a negative, even more stress, more negativity on top of it? That I think what you're doing, and what a lot of people out here are trying to do now, is say, like, that needs to stop. That's why we need these conferences. Those things need to stop. People need to know that they have an outlet, or they're able to go seek assistance without there being that kind of a retribution.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's great that there's so many different resources out there now. I mean, back in 2015, I was on the peer support team and I didn't even know where to get help, And so if it wasn't for some training that I went to and found out, about resources, I, I was really lost. And, I didn't have a bunch of resources or a list of resources back then. So, I'm glad that people have that now. And, I think that's kind of why I know that's why we're trying to be proactive in providing that education tools and resources.
So a lot of this is a lot of work. I mean, I'm learning that kind of from you, since
Mhm.
I'm able to join in with the Ocean City thing. So I'm seeing all the stuff that you guys put into this, and what you try to do to reach out to others. Can you let people know kind of how, you put that together, as far as getting all of these resources together? I know you've done it for a while. You're getting ready to do your 53rd, so you kind of build that, you
Mhm.
build that network of people, but you're always trying to expand that network of people.
Mhm. Yeah, well, like I said, we work with the local boots on the ground folks that are co-hosting the conference, that are endorsing the conference, because we like to bring in local and national resources, and obviously the people that are local kind of know those resources, and then the national resources that we've just met over time that you know find our conferences beneficial, not just for them being there because they have a resource, but also for them as a person, right? We all
Right.
need wellness. So I mean, we meet so many people across the country at all these events. And like I said, there's so many resources out there, and it's great to see people doing the things that they're doing to help our first responders.
So the conferences that you have one coming up in Mesa, Arizona, correct?
Hmm.
That's coming
Yeah,
up very shortly, right? That's January 27th and 28th.
correct.
But as Shawn said, they have 10 conferences coming up. If you're listening to this podcast, if you're next to a computer, or when we get done, you can go to First Responder Conferences. Just Google it; it'll all come up for you. You can see the places that they're holding these, but they're also, looking for others to kind of reach out and help out. So, what are the things that you're looking for? When it comes to your conferences, and trying to get that support or sponsorships from others. I know you just put out a thing requesting some books from. There's a lot of people writing books out there. There's
Mhm.
a lot of things that can help others, and that's why we're here. That's how Deep Blue Project was born. That's how a lot of the people that we have on here, but things that they can do to actually help assist you with a lot of these conferences that keep your costs down and allow you to provide, the help to everyone who attends.
Yeah. Well, so, at our conferences, we have a lot of different things, right? We have the co-host that is there that we're partnering with to make this conference happen. We also like to get endorsing agencies involved. So any agency that's in or around the area that's making wellness a priority, we want them to be a part of the conference as well. So we have an endorsing form that they can fill out to be a part of the conference to help make the conference beneficial and successful for everyone. Then we have resource partners / exhibitors that have some type of resource for our first responders that are actually in the conference room with us, and they get to attend the 2-day conference. And then we also have sponsors, that those organizations that don't necessarily want a table but want to be a part of the conference. Somehow we have different opportunities for those folks to be involved in the conference. And then locally, we have some volunteers that help. And just, you know, everybody just kind of works together. The speakers work together, as you know, the co-host and the endorsing agencies, and anybody that wants to be involved in helping. We can use all the help that we can get. So we appreciate all those people.
So one of the greatest things that I've learned from this, and it's helpful to me because I'm learning a lot myself with working with you guys, is the fact that this is an interactive um, process. It's for first responders, so it's not just police. So I want to put that out there. It's not just cops. It's firefighters. It's EMTs. It's
Mhm.
paramedics. It's people who really anyone who really needs to come wants to come to the conference and wants that assistance and wants to seek those resources. So I'm learning very quickly that one of the things that we get to do is be part of that from start to finish, which I thank you for, because coming from my end, I'm learning a lot from that and us being able to help even more. So if you request or you want to be a speaker for first responder conferences, and we'll get into that before we end and give people some ideas out there, that you're part of the process. Like you get to work with everyone and get to be a part of making that conference successful and what you do. I think another thing that and I'm interested because I've been in law enforcement for a long time, so
Mhm.
I've been to a lot of conferences. And I think one of the things that one of the neat things that you guys do, and I'm just interested on how you kind of came up with it. It could have just been it just happened that way, but you guys have your sponsors or your exhibitors right in the room where you're holding the um, the training seminars. So
Yeah.
the people who are there, they're right there in the same room. They're not in like a separate place where people have to visit them. They're right there. How did you guys kind of come up with that model?
That's a good question. I don't really know. Also, all it just we found that well, without our resource partners / exhibitors, sponsors, right? There's no way we could have these conferences. We're trying to keep the cost low for everyone. And without them, there's no way we could have these conferences. So we really appreciate them being there. We appreciate them having a resource for our first responders. We want our first responders to know about the resources locally and nationally, because it's not a one size fits all. And so we feel like, and the other thing is, the reason why we like to keep them in the room with us is we feel like if they have a resource for our first responders, that they should be aware of what's going on within the culture and the climate and within that area, to better serve those first responders they have a resource for, right? So a lot of times we'll have people come to our conferences and they're like, I had no idea that this was happening, or I had no idea what you guys endure day in and day out. And I'm like, well, how are they supposed to help us if they don't know what's going on? So by having them in the room, they get to listen to the presentations and be a part of the conference, and they get to interact with the attendees So it's just, I really like it being one big happy family. And then at the end of the day, wellness is wellness. They need it too, right? So they get to learn some education tools and resources for themselves. Plus, they have families and they have coworkers. So I really think, again, it takes everyone to come together to make the conference beneficial for everyone, right? I mean, it's not just for our first responders. We get, you mentioned that there was different first responders. We also encourage family members to attend with their first responders as well, because as you know, when you come into this profession, somebody pats you on the back and says, "Oh, the spouse, you're part of the family now." Well, yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, my career, nothing ever was sent home to the family, right? And
Right.
so when we come home and they don't understand what it is that we do every day or what we endure, and then they're like, why are they so shitty? Why
Hmm. Yeah.
and if we invite them to the conference and they kind of get a picture of what's going on, then at least they can understand and possibly learn how to communicate with their first responder and learn different techniques and be stronger, as a family. So yeah, we just like to include everybody. We have a lot of clinicians that attend too. As you know, there's a lot of clinicians that are see only first responders, or trying to get into the field and learn how to help first responders. And if they have no idea what it is that we're doing, how are they supposed to help? Right? It's kind of
Right.
different than just your local cubicle job every day.
You make a great point with that, because you having to go through that and myself having to go through that, and a lot of people that listen to this podcast, a lot of people that have been on this podcast. Well, one of the first things I think that we all see and is that, you know, as we go through this career, we get more and more untrustful of people.
Mm.
So when we need that help, like, we're not just going to go to anybody because we don't trust anybody as it goes along. I think you made a great point through what we do, and we talk about this often, is that being that untrustworthy towards others, and slowly we don't bring that stuff home. That manifests itself and keeps going, because now it gets worse. We may come home and be like, yeah, great day, we talk about it, and then slowly it gets worse because we're seeing more worse things. The stress is more, we don't want to bring it home, so we bottle it up or we leave it at work. People don't understand why we come home angry and we're pissed off,
Mhm.
or we just don't want to deal with life because
Mhm.
we've dealt with people's crap all day long, that we don't want to come home and deal with our own crap. So it causes a friction, it causes a problem. And that gets worse. It gets worse as it goes on. And that's what causes the poor coping mechanisms that we deal with.
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
what gets us into the alcoholism, or pills, or being, a recluse, or being depressed, or being, non communicative. That's where all this goes. But who do we reach out to? Like you said, it's not a one size fits all. Not
Mhm.
everything's going to work for everybody else. And first and foremost, you can tell me to go to a therapist, but no cop wants to talk to somebody who hasn't been a cop,
Mhm.
because they just
Yeah.
they don't do that. So I think what you're doing and bringing all of this together helps to kind of open that barrier. It kind of helps to give that and give everybody that choice to see what they need to be able to better communicate with first responders. Because it's
Yeah.
not just cops either. I mean, I say cops because
Yeah.
that's what we do,
Sure.
but everybody else gets untrustful and doesn't want to bring that stuff home either. EMTs, doctors, nurses, paramedics, firefighters. They don't want to bring that home either.
Yeah. I mean, I think the big thing, we're trying to convey is that there's different resources out there, right? There's different things, different tools. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, I need to go to counseling. If counseling doesn't work, then I'm doomed, right? And that's not, the way it is. And I've done a lot of different things: yoga, I've done counseling, I've done meditation, I've done, I mean, you got to find what works for you and realize that it changes over time, right? Like, I mean, there was a time in my life where I was seeing a therapist on a regular basis. I probably could go see one now just because it's always good to to vomit to somebody that
Right.
you don't know. But right now that's not something I need. So what do I do for myself? What other tools do I use to keep myself healthy, and keep on moving forward? And I think a lot of people kind of get in that mind frame of, okay, well, I need to diet, exercise, and maybe go to a counselor, and I don't know what else to do. And there's so many different things out there now for people to try, and you got to keep on trying to find what works for you and not give up.
Yeah, that's the hard part. We all do that, and I did that myself. It's like, well, I tried therapy. Yeah, that worked for about the first couple minutes. I mean, it wasn't
Mhm.
good. It didn't work for me, and things didn't work for me. And as you said, things change. Like I ended up with this. This is what trying to do things to have that mindset, and I think that's the change. As long as you have the mindset, all the other stuff you can get through those things and say, can I find something that works? And it does change. Like I don't
Mhm.
know how long I'll be doing this because when it becomes if it feels like a job, well then
Mhm.
that's not what I want to do this for. Or
Right.
if I do any of that, and I think that's the same for all of us, even yourself. I mean, you get to a certain point where you know when it becomes not something that's beneficial or you don't feel is benefiting others, then
Yeah.
it might be time to change that thing. I'm not
Mhm.
saying you're speaking specifically, but going back to what you're
Yeah.
saying is, yeah, therapy might work. I might try that again. Or it might be painting, or what did I say? Like art therapy is something I've been hearing about now, or there's so many things out there.
Mhm.
There's so many things out there. But I think what your conferences do and looking at some of the speakers that you bring in and the things that you try to expose people is just that you try to bring a big variety of
Mhm.
individuals, not only speaking, but also, trying to expose the people who come to your conference to all of these different ideas.
Mhm.
Because not one size fits all, as you said. It
Right.
helps
Well,
out that way.
yeah, we bring in anywhere from 8 to 10 speakers. And just to give people an idea, our conference is in one big ballroom if they didn't catch that already. So there are no breakouts. We bring in 8 to 10 speakers with different backgrounds, different topics to try to balance out the 2 days to include overall wellness. So no matter who's in the room, they can benefit from it. I mean, every conference looks a little different. I mean, we do have a lot of return speakers, but we like if Ocean City. I think this will be our fourth year going back. So every time we go back, we try to bring in different speakers. I try to balance out the schedule, use local speakers, use national speakers, to make sure that we're including a bunch of different topics from different backgrounds. If anybody came to the conference, they would benefit from it somehow.
So they have about 10 conferences coming up this year. Um, I can say the next few. I mean, you have Mesa, Arizona. You have one in, and I can't pronounce that.
Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Coeur
Coeur
d'Alene,
d'Alene.
Idaho.
Uh-huh.
I could not pronounce it every time I looked at it. Ocean City, of course. You're in San Luis Obispo. Is that what that
Mm-hmm.
is? In
San Luis
California.
Obispo. Yep. Yep.
Okay, Marietta, Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
in May. Then you have the summer pretty much kind of open, and then you
Mm-hmm.
jump to Atlantic City in September. So you'll be coming back all my way on the East Coast, El
Mm-hmm.
Paso, Texas, and Cleveland, Ohio. So there's some of the ones that are coming up. Um, One of the things that I talk about this because I think this is a unique conference in the way the information is put out, and it gives you a lot of interactive things. I don't see this a lot with a lot of conferences. You put a lot of information where people can see who the speakers are, where people can see what's going on, and gives them more information. But I'd like to touch on and speak a lot about the donation portion because this is something that's very important, and it helps people not only get their things out there, but it also helps you to be able to give things away, and it keeps your costs down. So kind of, I don't want to say your pitch, but that's what we want to kind of try to do is see how do people donate, and what are the kind of things that you're looking for when it comes to donations for these conferences?
Yes, so we have a couple different things. At our conferences, we have raffle baskets. And what we do is we collect donations and we put together these baskets. At the conference, people can purchase their raffle tickets and then they put their tickets in whatever basket they want to try to win. And then that raffle basket, those funds go to our scholarship fund. So that helps first responders if their agencies won't or can't pay for their registration and they have a financial need, or maybe they can pay for their own registration but they're having trouble getting their spouse there. We have the scholarship fund to help those people that need financial assistance. So we don't ever want to tell anybody, no, you can't come to the conference, but we also have to pay for everything. And so that's how we are able to get those folks there on scholarships. So that's one thing. The other thing that we do during our conferences is we try to like some smaller giveaway items, like how you donated a book. During the breaks, we try to give some items away. Just the conference can be heavy at times, and so we're trying to also liven it up. And who doesn't want something for free, right?
Right.
So we try to give away items during the breaks just for fun, to kind of keep it lively. And at the end, that's when we do our raffle baskets and everybody kind of has fun with it. And it's just our first responders' way of paying it forward, right? So we can keep the fund alive. We can keep providing scholarships, and that's kind of what we do just to kind of keep on moving forward. And so it's nice that the first responders get to help people in other areas by buying the raffle tickets.
People laugh at me because I always like cops cops, firefighters, everybody, first responders. They'll donate to anything. Like they will, if it's something that they see, they donate without blinking an eyelash. But they also like free stuff. They
Yes.
always love like you can have tons of stuff on a table. That stuff will be gone in the first day because people just take. I love it. I think it's funny because I'm one of them people too. I'm like, oh, flashlight, grab it. Like, people like the free stuff, but we appreciate that. So one of the things that we'll be asking you is if you're listening to this, please go to the donation area. If it's in your area, even if it's not in your area, think about donating these things. It's not only helpful to you if you have a business because it puts your name out there, but it is something that gives first responders and Shawn able to give back to the people who show up because everybody again likes the free stuff. So we hope that you will do that and enjoy that. Another thing that I want to come into is when you guys have things, you also have a endorsement and you request for endorsements for each one of your conferences. So to help you guys try to get out there, like, can you go through how that kind of works for people who may want to endorse these conferences in the different areas?
Yeah. So, if we're having a conference, let's say again in Ocean City, we have a lot of endorsing agencies that want to be a part of the conference. So we really want to get everybody involved. And if they're making wellness a priority, we definitely want to get them involved. We want to show that they're making wellness a priority. We want to show the public that they're making wellness a priority for their members, right? So they can be an endorsing agency, and basically what that is we put their logo on our marketing materials. We put it in our PowerPoint, we put it in our program. We really try to market for them, showing that they're doing something good. And then they are to provide a raffle basket for the raffles, and then we give them one buy one get one free. So when they register one person, then we give them one registration for free. And then we hope that they, share the information, get the information out to other people. A lot of times we'll go to these conferences and people are like, oh, I had no idea of the conference. And we're like, we were right there. How did you not know? And so we really try to get everybody working together to make sure that people are aware of it. So if they want to attend, they're able.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Another thing that I think helps in me learning kind of more about what you're doing with the meetings that we have for our conference coming to Ocean City, that you get to feel and be part of all that and see and kind of help out with being able to get more people to join in and do that. Because again, we're all out here trying to, make wellness a priority, to try to
Hmm.
put that out there and give people these resources. These also, we have the classes. I know one of the big things that you guys do is you make sure wherever the areas that you're at to make sure that there's certificates if need be, or they fit
Hmm.
the training criteria. A lot of times you're looking at things that we have education credits that
Yeah.
have to be taken care of. So how do you guys kind of go about for some of these? Because you're in all different areas. Everybody's
Yeah.
got different rules.
Yep. Every state is different, that's for
Yeah,
sure. So yeah, I mean, some states are post credits, some are self submittal, but we try to get police credits, we try to get fire credits, we try to get EMS credits, we try to get social worker credits. So whatever we can get in that area, we try to work with the co-host and the endorsing agencies so they're able to. So trying to secure those credits. And then we also have a certificate of attendance. So if people, don't need those credits, but they can self submit, then we provide them with a certificate of attendance so they can take back to their apartment so they can get the training credits.
that's all awesome. So as we get close to wrapping up, Shawn, I want to kind of just let you give your, I don't know, your kind of pitch, your thing of what you're looking for, and if there's things out there, or if people are interested in reaching out, um, to maybe talk to you about becoming a speaker for first responder
Mhm.
conferences, how that works for them. So if they want to reach
Yeah.
out to you, they can do so.
Yeah. So if somebody's interested in co-hosting a conference, they can contact us, and we can try to work with them to get a conference in their area. If somebody wants to be an endorsing agency, we're in an area and they want to be a part of the conference, we have an endorsing agreement, so we can send that information to them. If somebody wants to be a speaker, we have an online speaker form that they can fill out, and then I take a look at their information. They schedule a call with me and we have a conversation, try to vet them out the best as possible, and then plug them into schedules, hopefully, in the future. And then let's see what else. We have a volunteer. We have volunteers. So without our volunteers, there's no way that we could be doing these many conferences. So we're always looking for volunteers that want to be a part of the conference, that want to help. Usually it's just working from home, doing research. It's not hard work, just some of it's time consuming, but yeah, I mean, if they want to be a part of the conferences and help out in some way, we have a online volunteer form. Oh, let's see what else. Like you had mentioned, donations. If people want to donate items or books, we love to give those things away and then put them in the raffle baskets depending on what the item is. So we're always looking for those things. And I think that's about it.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
You
it
guys,
is a
I
lot.
mean, you guys do put a lot together, especially with the way you have all these conferences coming up. A big shout out for me to all the people that you have working with you and around you. Um, as a first responder, as a person who is really passionate about the mental health and wellness of our first responders, I truly appreciate the things you guys are doing, and I'm happy to be part of it. And I thank you for allowing me to be part of it. And I'm looking forward to Ocean City. So if you are on the East Coast, if you are in the area, I would love to see you in Ocean City. Please come in, check out the First Responder Conference's website, donate something, be an endorser, come to the conference. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. If you have people and you can send them, please send them to the conference, because especially if you want your people to be well. I mean, you can't just say it. There's a lot of problems that we're seeing now, that you can't just be a voice and say that's what you're going to do. You need to be proactive, and you need to show your people that you care about their mental health and wellness, so that we do better. As Shawn said, you can't be like it was, back in 2006, and even the way it's been just 10 years ago, of people being afraid to take care of themselves and take care of their mental health. So we appreciate that. Shawn, I appreciate you being on. Thank you very much for your time and your efforts and everything that you guys are doing. I totally appreciate it.
No, thank you. I appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for having me.
All righty, guys. If you want to, please check out first responder conferences. They even have a shop with cool swag. I want to make sure I pop that in there. They have a great logo. They have some cool swag. So go in there and see it. Please check it out. If first responder conferences is in your area, we went over the places. You can go to their website and find out. Give it a shot. It may be just what you're looking for. It may be something that leads you around that path and gives you that thing that you need to get better. So I thank you very much, Shawn. You take care, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Deep Blue Project. As a father, husband, friend, and someone who loves to chat about anything and everything, Chris brings over 3 decades of public service experience to the table. With a background in firefighting and law enforcement, along with degrees in criminal justice and behavioral science, he's seen it all, and he's learned a thing or two along the way. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on LinkedIn and X at Deep Blue Project. Find our website at deepblueproject.com. And to reach out, send an email to deepblueproject@outlook.com. Keep keeping it real, and we'll see you next time on the Deep Blue Project.